Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. Welcome to my monthly video on the best expansions coming to retail. A lot of board games have fans out there, and those fans demand more content. And so that's why we get expansions. And then occasionally, games don't have a lot of fans, and they still get expansions. And I'm surprised, but I cover them. And so there's always a lot of good expansions that come in every month. I joke about that sort of stuff. But, you know, these are things you can get pretty easily and immediately. That's what sort of coming to retail means. If you like this retail series that I do a best expansions coming to retail, I do a best new games coming to retail, and I do a best new editions of games coming to retail video every month. You're welcome to check out my Patreon and support all the research and the work I do to put this together. Patreon.com/GrantsGameRex. All right, let's get into the best expansions of board games hitting retail in November 2023. Ares Games is releasing 2 expansions to their decently newly released game, Fighters of the Pacific. Fighters of the Pacific came out earlier this year, 2023, and it is a sort of naval and air war game based on some battles from World War II. You're going to attack enemy carriers with bombs and torpedoes while avoiding enemy fighters. And so they are releasing 2 expansions to that right now. The first is called Battle of Midway. So the core game, I should mention, contains a ton of different content. There's aircraft carriers, destroyers, aircraft carrier tokens. There's a huge modular board. And the base game comes with 10 scenarios. So this Battle of Midway expansion includes 5 scenarios to add to Fighters of the Pacific, and it really focuses on the Battle of Midway, which was one of the biggest naval and air battles during World War II in the Pacific theater of war. It also adds some new American aircraft models. It adds a bunch of tokens to the base game. So yeah, if you want to relive the Battle of Midway in board game form, you can check out the Battle of Midway expansion for Fighters of the Pacific. And then the other expansion that they're releasing is Battle of the Coral Sea for Fighters of the Pacific. And this is actually the first ever naval air battle that ever took place, was the Battle of Coral Sea. It actually happened 1 month before the much more famous Battle of Midway, and so with the Battle of Coral Sea expansion, you can relive that battle. This adds 3 new Japanese aircraft carriers and 4 more scenarios to the game. So a lot of content, a lot of different scenarios to explore here with those 2 expansions. You know, one of the things I am slightly confused on, so I don't know, is the Fighters of Pacific says that it's a 2-player game, but these expansions say that they're a 1 to 8-player game, and that is a very broad range to go from a 2-player game to an 8-player game, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. I'll let you figure that out on your own, but I did want to bring that up. Asmodee and Atomic Mass Games are releasing Star Wars Shatterpoint Sabotage Showdown expansion. So Star Wars Shatterpoint is a game that came out earlier this year as well, and it is a sort of a tactical miniatures combat game based in the Star Wars world. You are going to create teams of Star Wars characters and then fight against other people in epic battles, and it is a 2-player game. And so if you like, you know, there's all the characters you know about, you know, Ahsoka Tano, Bo-Katan, Lord Maul, a lot of different characters in the Star Wars world. And so if you like miniatures games, then Star Wars Shatterpoint might be a good one for you. Well, this expansion, the Sabotage Showdown expansion, adds a new mission into the game. So this is the first set of mission cards outside of the core set, the base game. And so if you like the missions in the game, now there's more missions for you, and it adds a variety of gameplay with new objective layouts, new mission special rules that pose new tactical challenges for strike teams to overcome. So yeah, more mission content there. Avalon Hill is releasing the expansion to a Betrayal at House on the Hill 3rd edition. This is Betrayal, the Yuletide Tale, Evil Reigns in the Winter's Pale. So, ooh, that kind of, I didn't even realize until now that rhymed. That gave me chills. The Yuletide Tale, Evil Reigns in the Winter's Pale. That's fun to say when you realize it rhymes. So this is compatible with Betrayal at House on the Hill 3rd edition. If you don't know that game, that is a sort of Halloween feeling horror themed game where you are exploring a house and you play through different scenarios, and then in the different scenarios there are different monsters that you're going to have to fight, and then halfway through the game the sort of everything changes for you. So this is a, sort of a Christmas themed expansion to Betrayal at House on the Hill. If you want to move your game from the Halloween season into the Christmas season, this is a good way to do it. It adds 2 unique characters controlled by a single player. There is Jingle Claus and Elf, and they have unique abilities. It also adds 2 new rooms, some items, some events, and a new scenario card featuring 5 new haunts based on Jingle Claus and the holidays. So yeah, the main thing here is making a little Christmas feel for Betrayal at House on the Hill. So compatible with 3rd edition here. So that's fun. Bezier Games is releasing Castles of Mad King Ludwig expansion box. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I do a best new editions video coming to retail every month. And those are oftentimes, both updated editions in games, re-implementations of old games. Maybe they've reskinned it, given it a new theme, but it is still the same as an old game. Well, I say that right now to mention that Castles of Mad King Ludwig 2nd edition will be one of the games I cover in my new editions video that's coming out later this month. So there will be a new edition of Castles of Mad King Ludwig, and so this expansion box is sort of releasing at the same time as that new edition. This is, all of the expansions in this are compatible with that 2nd edition of Castles of Mad King Ludwig. So if you haven't played the game before, it is one of the best sort of wacky tile laying games out there. But while it's wacky in its presentation and its theme, it's still very strategic and thinky. You will be adding rooms onto a castle, and all the rooms are different shapes, and they're going to score you points in different ways, and there's different objectives and goals to sort of complete to get points, and everybody's castle looks crazy at the end of it because it's all these rooms sort of leading nowhere and gardens going into other gardens and that sort of stuff. So this expansions box includes every previously released expansion for Castles of Mad King Ludwig, and it also includes 1 new expansion. So there's renovations, there's towers, there's moats, there's swan tokens, there's secret passages, there's royal decrees. It also adds a 5th player to your game. So Castles of Mad King Ludwig played 1 to 4 players. This now plays 1 to 5 if you have this expansion box. So yeah, check that out. CMYK is releasing Monikers-er? It's more monikers. It is a clever way to say more monikers. So Monikers is a really great big group party game. It's essentially turning the game like Celebrity or Fishbowl, where you are pulling things out of a fishbowl, and it has names or things on it, and then you have to perform those. It's basically Monikers turned that into like a physical party game. And it's definitely a game that plays better with more people. And so, it's that escalating rounds thing where the first round you just have to describe the thing on the card. And then the second round you can use one word. And then the third round you have to pantomime it. And so it's making inside jokes with your friends so that they can guess the thing later on in the turn, in the game. The game comes with, it's not just like people, the card isn't just going to say Mariah Carey. It's also like funny, weird things, it might be, the suggestion might be peeing in the woods, or like a sandwich artist, or just random sort of weird suggestions like that. Well, this expansion, the Monikers-er, just adds 330 new cards. So same gameplay, same big group party game, but now with a bunch of new cards if you've already played through your previous version of Monikers a lot. So now you can play more of it. All right, North Star Games is releasing Oceans: Legend of the Deep. So Oceans is a game that's in their Evolution line of games from North Star Games. They are sort of engine building games where you are going to be putting creatures out in front of you and then giving those creatures new abilities, new traits, and building them up and building up your species pool and earning points for that. It's a fun engine building game. Oceans, similar to the previously released Evolution, but now sets it in oceans, and you're trying to feed these animals with fish and that sort of thing, and it's all, different ocean-dwelling creatures. And all Oceans and Evolution all sort of existed in the realm of science, the realm of possibility. Well, Oceans: Legends of the Deep adds cultural legends and high fantasy to the game Oceans. So this sort of goes beyond the world of science here and adds these cool legend cards which are very powerful, will get you cool special abilities, and you can only have one in play at a time. It gives it a heightens the sort of special ability nature of the game. So if you like Oceans and you want to add some fun fantasy into the world of Oceans, this is your chance. There you go. Oceans: Legends of the Deep. Ravensburger is releasing the first expansion to Disney Lorcana. This is Rise of the Floodborn. So for anybody that doesn't know, Lorcana, Disney Lorcana, is a tradable card game with all the characters from Disney that you know and love, and it is a fairly easy TCG to get into. If you've always wanted to play Magic the Gathering, but it's felt like too big of a commitment or too big of a world for you, Disney Lorcana is an easier TCG to learn, an easier TCG to get to the table, more family weight than some of the other ones out there. And so this is going to double the number of cards available in Disney Lorcana. This is going to add a ton of cards out there, and it will also add a couple of new mechanics meant to explore deck building options and strategies. There's going to be some starter decks, there's going to be some booster packs, all of that sort of thing for Disney Lorcana, and we'll just add a lot of characters that weren't in the first wave of content that were released. Just to note, this is available at hobby stores and Disney parks on November 17th, and then will be available in mass stores and on Shop Disney December 1st. So if you want to support your local game store and you want to get more Disney Lorcana, you have a couple of weeks to get it there before it's available in other places. So check that out. Renegade Game Studios is releasing Ex Libris Expanded Archives expansion. As I mentioned, the new editions video that will be coming out probably a week or so after this one. Renegade Game Studios is releasing an Ex Libris second edition. It will be included in that new editions video, but along with that, they're also releasing this Expanded Archives expansion. And so Ex Libris was a sort of worker placement tableau building game where you had to arrange books on shelves, and you had to do them in alphabetical order and how you arranged them to get different points, and your workers were getting you some resources to help you do that. Well, this, just to note, this expansion, this Expanded Archives expansion, is compatible with the original 2017 printing and also compatible with the new revised 2023 edition of Ex Libris. So if you didn't want to have to buy a new edition of the game, but you wanted this expansion, you can do that. It introduces new artifact cards that can be shelved with your books for powerful effects and scoring potential. It adds new assistants and a new way to use them that gets you some special abilities and stuff like that. And it also has 5th player components, so you can add a 5th player to your game of Ex Libris. So yeah, check this out from Renegade Game Studios. Renegade Game Studios is also releasing the G.I. Joe deck building game Raise the Flagg campaign expansion. So this G.I. Joe deck building game is, as the name suggests, it's a really on-the-nose name. It is a deck building game set with G.I. Joe IP. You know, all the G.I. Joe characters from the the cartoons and stuff are in this game, and this is the first time it's adding a campaign mode to the G.I. Joe deck building game. Over several episodes, the stakes will be raised as your decisions, successes, and failures will compound to create your own narrative for the G.I. Joe team. Keep track of your progress in the campaign log and carefully choose how to equip the USS Flagg as you confront Cobra Commander and his lackeys. So if you like deck building, this is a very classic deck building game. And if you like campaign games, now you can play this deck building game in a campaign style. Rio Grande Games is releasing an expansion to New Frontiers called the Starry Rift. This is an expansion for a game, New Frontiers, that came out about 5 years ago and was a game that was sort of in the race for the galaxy family. It's a game set in space, and one of the cool things about New Frontiers was when you picked an action, everyone else got to do that action as well. A lot of simultaneous play in the game. Well, this expansion, New Frontiers Starry Rift, adds 16 home worlds, 10 developments, 13 worlds, and 8 goals to expand the New Frontiers base game. So basically just adding a lot of content, just sort of more of the same, but more replayability, more things to choose from, more different content for the game. So yeah, plays 1 to 5 players and is a medium weight game. Stonemaier Games is releasing the Wingspan Fan Art Pack. So if you're a fan of Wingspan, this was a thing they did a little while ago. They had over 300 fans submitted illustrations of their favorite birds in the game for the Wingspan Fan Art Challenge, and now they're releasing over 255 illustrations in various styles with this fan art pack. So just a lot of birds for the game. Mechanically, these are exactly the same as the birds that are in Wingspan and the Europe, Oceania, and Asia expansions, so it doesn't change the gameplay mechanically at all, but now there's just all these cool different birds that fans drew. They donated, Stonemaier donated a lot of the money to the Cornell Lab of Ornithology and some other bird organizations, so that's pretty cool. The box for this is designed to fit into the nesting box if you have the Wingspan nesting box. And so yeah, just a lot of different you know, you can switch these in with the cards that are in the game that you have. You can just add them and have multiples in there, have different artwork and that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it's that's cool that they opened the Wingspan is obviously a game that has a lot of fans. If you had asked me to put money on which games would have sold over 2 million copies, I don't know that Wingspan would have been a game I put money down, but man, people love it. And so it's a good game, and it's cool that it's that they're involving fans like this. Lastly, the last expansion I have for you this month is Role Player Adventures Gulpax Secret from Thunderworks Games. This Role Player Adventures, so originally Thunderworks Games did a game called Role Player. And a role player, you are doing a bunch of dice placement, dice manipulation, dice rolling in order to build out a character with different stats. But that was the game, just building the character. Well, then Role Player Adventures was a narrative campaign game where you could take the characters that you created in Role Player and play them in an actual narrative campaign. You didn't have to play with characters that you created. They also had pre-generated characters and things like that. But it was a big campaign, story-driven, narrative-driven cooperative game. Well, Gulpax Secret is an all-new campaign for the storybook cooperative game, Role Player Adventures. Players take on the role of fantasy heroes in 7 new adventures, facing new challenges, exploring new environments, meeting new characters in the world of Eulos, and making meaningful decisions that change the story along the way. So that also adds a new element to enrich your story, professions. So there are now professions in the game. So if you were a fan of Role Player Adventures and you played through the whole campaign, well, now you got some new story and some new scenarios to play through here. So, and again, you can bring the characters you generated from Role Player into this version, or there are some pre-generated characters provided for you. So that's what I got this month. I hope you found something that you're excited about. I hope you heard about something you hadn't heard about here before. So thanks so much for these series. I appreciate you liking and subscribing so you can hear about all the different games coming to retail every month. So thanks again. I'm Grant with Grant's Game.